Chapter 1. The Masked Investor. I sit on the curb in my dad's old work suit, pulling at the dead grass in my family's driveway. I prefer to be outside when my mom is gone, and that's often the case since she picked up an extra shift at Land's Market. The letters keep coming in the mail, most with red ink on the front, unpaid balances ranging from 50s to thousands. Only one thing might fix it: my dad's memory insertion technology he worked on before he died. Tonight, I'm getting the money to make it happen. The sound of squealing tires jolts me to attention. A Porsche comes to a halt in front of me, the doors rising like the wings of a blue jay. Jason smiles from the driver's seat, running a hand through his shaggy brown hair. His dad is loaded, but I doubt the man is dumb enough to lend him a sports car. "Where'd you get the ride?" I say, getting up off the curb. "Borrowed it." "Borrowed it?" I raise an eyebrow. "Look, Zach, we gotta blend in tonight." "Fine." I roll my eyes, sliding my bag under the seat, trying not to picture a cop pulling us over. Two teens in a stolen Porsche? Not the best on college apps. Jason revs the engine, a low growl. I shake my head, a smile forming on my lips. We accelerate down the street, blowing through the stop sign. First time in a Porsche, might as well live a little. I crank up the music, 80s as always. There's something empowering about that generation. Or maybe it just reminds me of my brother Damien, who played it in the room across from mine. As soon as we're out of my neighborhood, I roll down the window to catch the winter breeze on my face. My skin turns numb. I forget about Damien. I forget about my stupid life. I smack the side of the Porsche with the cuff of my suit jacket, willing it to go faster. Jason does just that. Wind whips through my hair. I feel alive again. We hit a tight bend in the road and I hold on to the handle. "Sarah's coming too, right?" Jason's grip tightens on the steering wheel as we stop at a red light. "Yeah, but her parents grounded her from seeing me." "Dang, serious?" Jason nods. I know not to buy further. There was a point in our friendship when most of our conversations became nonverbal. We become something of a mismatched duo since we both transferred to Maryfield halfway through freshman year. Jason came from wealth, I didn't. Jason is shorter, I'm taller. Jason has light hair, I have dark hair. Jason has a girlfriend, I don't. None of our differences seem to matter though. Being seniors now, I don't want to move on to college because I can't imagine life without him. "Do me a favor," Jason lowers the blaring music. "Can you get her while I swing around?" "Didn't you just say she was grounded?" The light turns green. "Yeah, I know, but it was just a..." Jason stalls for a second, his hand going to his hair. "It was just a missed curfew and only once, maybe twice, and only from seeing me. Can you bail me out?" I watch the evergreen trees grow thicker near Montgomery Park, the Oregon mist shrouding their spiny tips. We're nearing Sarah's place. "Fine, but only this time. Knew you'd come around." Jason slams the brakes in front of her driveway. So much for being stealthy. "You'll be fine. I texted her, so she'll be ready. Let's meet across the park." I jump out of the car, the ground feels like it's spinning after Jason's wild ride. The tires slip as the Porsche zooms around the block. I would have laughed, but I've heard the stories of Sarah's dad. One time he deflated all 4 of Jason's tires so he could personally chaperone them on a movie date. Apparently, once they got to the theater, he stayed in the back row and watched all the way to the final credits. Needless to say, I have no intention of getting caught tonight. I hop over the picket fence that lines the property and push the black garbage bin toward Sarah's room. I've seen Jason do this a few times before. A swarm of flies emerges like bees from a beehive and I bat them away. The wheels squeak. Darn it. I stop to listen. I push it another inch forward. Squeak. I pause and then push it again. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Why'd I agree to this? I stop just below her room, a light is on in the window and a shadow moves closer behind the blinds. Light blue fingernails pull up the screen. She doesn't usually paint them. "Heads up!" A black backpack flies out first and I catch it before it hits the ground. Moments later, feet dangle out of the windowsill. She's wearing sneakers with her dress, classic Sarah attire. Jason buys her a new color of shoes every month since they started dating. She narrows her eyes from the window. "Zach?" I shrug, equally confused why I'm here. "Don't look up." We lock eyes for a second, and I look away. Sarah drops onto the trash can lid, stumbling over the fabric in her blue dress. The bin wobbles, and I reach out to steady it, but it isn't enough. I catch her before she falls, and the trash can tips over. Glass shatters to the ground, followed by a hurricane of half-eaten salami and green milk that looks like the end of a Captain Crunch bowl I ate for dinner. The front door opens, then slams. "Who's out there?" Sarah grabs my arm and pulls me behind a bush. She's so fast I wonder how many times she's done this with Jason. "You better speak up." Mr. Harper clicks a shotgun into place, his feet drawing closer, heavy thumps supporting his round belly. I shiver under my white dress shirt, cursing myself for listening to Jason. Sarah points across the street toward Montgomery Park. I reposition myself in that direction, taking care not to touch Sarah, who is crouched close enough I can hear her breathing. Jason's car is on the opposite end of the park, so we'll have to run. I step forward, but Sarah pulls me back. Mr. Harper comes into view, investigating the Captain Crunch milk on the other side of the bush. "Jason, I swear, if you're out here..." I'm close enough to see his nose hairs. Sarah pulls out her keys from her pocket and clicks the alarm button. The lights on her Prius flash, and her dad turns, sniffs the air like a hunting dog, and bounds toward the driveway. A perfect distraction. We dart across the street toward Montgomery Park, the grass absorbing our noise. I would have kept running, but Sarah tugs me from behind. You can stop now. Your dad is insane. I'd taken a breath of the night air, brushing off my black pants. They still need to look good tonight. There's supposedly going to be a ton of billionaires at the Masked Investor tonight, and if I'm lucky enough, one of them might pick up my project. You were so scared of my dad, Sarah laughs, pulling brambles out of her dirty blonde hair. He's as harmless as a fly. Really? Last I checked, he had a freaking gun. It's not even loaded. Well, I guess it did its job, I fake chuckle as we enter the woodlands of the park. We cross a bridge, leaving mud tracks on the planks, sneakers alongside dress shoes. I haven't been alone with Sarah for nearly a year since Jason started dating her. We used to meet up at a spot close to this bridge and skip stones in the creek, talking about how life could be different, better if we made it through high school. On a day about as cold as this one, she tripped into the water and dragged me down with her. We floated there in jeans and t-shirts, splashing back and forth despite her shivering lips. Things are different between us now. Shotgun, Sarah calls out. I spin around. Where? You're such a dork. She punches my arm. Jason opens the car doors and I duck into the back seat. Yeah, my humor is a bit quirky, and yeah, I'm a bit of a dork, but at least Sarah gets that. At least she gets me. Jason kisses Sarah just outside the car and I tap my foot. Normally, I'm a better wingman, but it's different with Sarah, because we used to be best friends. That was until Jason turned our trio into a lopsided tricycle, and I became the flat tire. I reach forward and push the ignition on the Porsche. The lights flicker on. The happy couple slides in a second later. Did you bring the masks? I ask as Sarah reapplies lip gloss. Yep, she fiddles through her bag. You sure you're cool coming? Jason asks. Yeah, my mom told me I could. My dad, well, he'll find out eventually. He's just being crazy. Crazy is an understatement. I'm never doing that again, I say. Well, I didn't hear gunfire, Jason jokes. Well, not yet, I say, laughing. How'd you even hear about the Masked Investor? Sarah says. I tried looking it up before coming, but there was nothing about it. It's only for like the VIP of VIPs, so they keep it secretive. My dad, Jason takes a small breath. Well, he always gets invited to stuff like this, but I doubt he'll be here tonight because he's traveling to Japan or something. I grip Jason's chair in front of me. So, what's our plan? We just gotta act the part. I already hacked in their system and put our names on their list, but we still need to convince an investor to bite. I sink back into the plush leather seats. My pitch needs to be perfect, otherwise my mom will never escape the mess she's in. It's only a matter of time before we lose our home, the home my dad raised me in before he passed. I look at my reflection in the window, pretending I'm talking with an investor, but my curly hair and dimples aren't nearly as menacing as a billionaire's eyes will be. I pull my dad's lab journal out of my backpack and fan through the pages, refamiliarizing myself with the specific brands of wires and electrode fluid in case the investors ask for specifics. My dad worked on a project called memory insertion. The idea was that someone would sit in a memory pod, like a sleep chamber astronauts use, get hooked up to electrodes and have memory skills implanted into their brain. A person could play Mozart without any experience touching the piano, or become a heart surgeon without ever opening a textbook. My dad got the idea to work, but his entire lab burned down before he brought it to market. He died in that fire. My brother Damien was the one who burned everything down. Signal lost, the GPS relays, snapping me back to present. Jason shuts it off, and our car dips onto a gravel path. We pass a green road sign, Shumway Road. There aren't any more signs after that. White mist blocks our view ahead. Shadows from the moon cover our car. It feels like the forest is swallowing us the deeper we go. I read about a hiker who came out here and couldn't recognize his own kids when he came back. Another time, a group of teenagers from Maryfield High went camping, and the police found their bodies years later along the Montgomery River. I'd never come this far into the woods alone, but I trust Jason knows what he's doing, and I don't want to sound ungrateful for his help. We should... Jason breaks the silence. Sarah jumps in her seat. Geez, you scared me. Jason squeezes Sarah's arm. We're gonna be fine. My dad knows these people. We should still cover up before we get close. Sarah reaches into her bag and gives a green mask to Jason and a black mask to me. She dons a blue one herself. I put the mask over my eyes and tie it at the back. It only leaves a portion of my hair showing, my view constricted to a circular orifice barely larger than my pupils. I feel free being unrecognizable, my identity hidden by a thin layer of fabric. If I speak confidently enough, I could pull off a 30-year-old millionaire hotshot who performs brain surgeries as a hobby. Investors are bound to trust me then. We approach a barbed wire gate. Security cameras line the moss-covered walls like beads on a string. Jason rolls down the window and flashes his phone at a scanner. The gate creaks open. There's no turning back now. Hardened manor is emblazoned at the base of a fountain near the entrance. We climb a steep hill and the mansion comes into view. Gigantic, practically the size of a mall with how many conjoining buildings there are. Neon spotlights point this way and that, contrasting the barren woods that surround the mansion. A waterfall drains into a frozen pond, the gold-plated words, "Masked Investor," shimmering in the reflection of the water. I reach into my dad's suit pocket and pull out the handkerchief. The gold-embroidered M is crossed out just like the M on the Masked Investor sign. He could have come here to get funding for his project. I remember him promising my mom, just one more year, just one more month, just a few weeks before we're rich, we can go to Italy and eat real pizza like you've always wanted. The lab burned down before that ever happened. I slip the handkerchief back into my pocket and watch as the silver masked chauffeur maneuvers cars ahead of us. Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Corvettes. Jason wasn't kidding about blending in. Men and women step out of their cars dressed in elegant suits and dresses. They wear colored masks like us, checkers and stripes, blues and blacks. If I'm going to play with rich people, my acting skills have to be on par tonight. Quite the party. What does the guy do for a living anyway? Owns some hospitals, I think. A guy named Brock Hardin used to host the event, but he passed away a while ago, Jason says. Not sure who's running the show tonight, probably his son Luke. We stop in front of the mansion's entrance, and the Porsche's doors spring upward. Stepping outside, I accidentally bump into the chauffeur. His chest feels like solid iron. Phones and technology are not permitted. Please leave them in your vehicle. He watches me as I take out my phone. If this weren't a party, I would think he was a bank robber with his mask. Then again, that's probably what I look like myself. I exchange a glance with Sarah before placing my phone into the glove box of the Porsche. Here goes nothing, Jason whispers as the three of us follow the red carpet trail leading to the mansion. I almost expect cameras or paparazzi to greet us on the steps, but only the lonely moon is watching us from above. The doorway to the mansion could fit a jumbo jet through it. Two silver-masked men dressed in matching suits stand as sentinels. They're even larger than the chauffeurs, with chiseled chins pressed tightly against their masks and their arms folded. Names? One of them says. Dimitri Taylor, Kyler Miller, and Wendy Moore, Jason recites, giving our fake names. The guard's beady eyes flick back and forth through his tablet. Hopefully Jason's plan actually works. Oh, there it is, he says, looking back up. Welcome to the Masked Investor. People from all over the world are gathered here tonight. The balconies, ballroom, and lobby are open to everyone. Please do not wander elsewhere. Enjoy your night. He gestures us to move inward toward the low hum of the gathering crowd. I step inside, following a path of glittering chandeliers. I've never seen one without foggy crystals, or one at all for that matter. The ballroom is spectacular. Holograms of planets orbit the ceiling, and a sun radiates in the center, casting an otherworldly glow. A few hundred people are here, some on the balcony above, but most on the floor. They're dancing to the sounds of orchestral music, their movements hypnotic around the ball of fire. Their masks hide the person within, but I have an idea of who these people really are. Copper skin, gold hair, pearly teeth. Wealthy people don't have much variety. I learned that after transferring to the rich school in town, Merrifield High. Thankfully, I found two friends who don't fit the mold. We'll catch up in a sec, Jason says, twirling Sarah to the rhythm of the violins. The way her blue dress fans outward, it reminds me of junior prom last year, before Jason and Sarah were together. Sarah told me that her mom was forcing her to go to prom, so she asked me if I would go with her as a friend. Of course I went. I remember slipping the rose corsage on our wrist, avoiding eye contact as much as possible, not wanting to make it any more awkward than it already was. I wondered how her mom could force her to go to prom and have us use roses, a flower so deeply connected to romance. Flashback, 7 months ago. That looks beautiful on you, honey, Sarah's mom said, standing a distance away while socializing with other moms. Blush crept onto Sarah's powdered cheeks. She poked me several times before finally pinning the matching rose on my jacket pocket. It really does look beautiful on you, I said in the friendliest tone possible. Thanks, Zach. Her cheeks became redder. I'd never made her blush like that before. Hold her waist from behind and, Sarah, look up into his dreamy eyes, the photographer said, holding his camera over his face. If you're uncomfortable, no, it's okay. She grabbed my arms and put them around her waist. I'd never held her like that before. Now, if you'd like, you can do a dip kiss to finish. It'll make a splendid photo. I looked at Sarah for a moment. I never truly thought about kissing her. She looked at me for a second longer. Her bottom lip crinkled first, and we broke out laughing. She was Sarah again. My friend Sarah. She snorted a bit as she smiled. End flashback. I found out much later and much too late that our mom didn't choose the roses. Sarah had. Just a week after junior prom, Jason planned a beach trip to the Oregon coast. He wanted to do something together since he hadn't gone to prom with us. It was on a Saturday, and I had to work at Lamb's to help my mom, so I couldn't go. Sarah and Jason still went. When they came back, they were holding hands and have been for the past 7 months. But who's counting? I grab a plate from one of the orange-covered tables, trying not to relay the memory again in my head. There's Italian pasta, Mexican tacos, French baguettes. Every culture is represented, but I don't feel like eating. Wendy? Really? I look nothing like a Wendy, I hear Sarah whisper to Jason as they move in my direction. I walk farther away and stuff my plate with crispy tempura and a garden and sushi. I sit alone, without a dance partner. The solution is obvious. Find a girlfriend. It's not that I can't get one. I've had a few flings in the past. It's just that no one seems right to me. Except for Anna, maybe. But she's the kind of girl who frequents extravagant parties like these. The girl who every guy at Merrifield seems to like. So I guess I should like her too. At least that's what I tell Sarah. Hello, Mr. Blacksuit, a woman with a tiger stripe mask says. I was too caught up in thought I didn't notice her sit down next to me. She wears a red-orange silky dress that complements her mask. Hello, Miss Tiger. I match her formal tone. I'm not used to talking like this. May I have this dance? She holds out her hand with confidence. My cheeks warm. I'm glad I'm wearing a mask to cover them. Was she watching me this whole time, noticing I was alone? I hate being pitied. Sure. I take her hand. Say it like you mean it. She winks through her mask. Sorry, I didn't mean... You're forgiven. She grins. It's strange not knowing who I'm dancing with. She's a head shorter than me, an ideal dance partner. I guide her side to side, giving it my best, but I stumble over my feet. You're pretty good for a first-timer. She winks again, her wavy brown hair bouncing off her shoulders. I must be doing worse than I thought. So, what's your big idea, Mr. Blacksuit? The way she talks with me so confidently and sarcastically, she has to be young. How do I know you're an investor? Wow, this really is your first. She giggles. It's right here. She points to the pin on her dress with the letter I on it. I put my hand over my forehead. Oh, my bad. That was dumb of me. She casually takes my hand and places it on her hip. I notice how her perfect olive skin contrasts her sparkling white teeth. Even with a mask, I know she's gorgeous. So, what's your idea? She motions for me to continue. I pause, my hands growing clammy. This is my moment. It's not just about the money for my mom. I can almost hear my dad whispering, "You can do this, son. Finish it for me." I look back at the tiger mask girl, gauging how I should approach her. What's a talent you've always wished you've had? I guess I've always wanted to play the violin. She gestures toward a woman on stage, her fingers moving to pluck the strings. Imagine if you could play overnight, without ever holding a bow in your hand. Okay. We call it memory insertion, MI for short. Someone sits in a device called a memory pod, and we encode brain learning patterns. People can become geniuses and prodigies overnight. How do you do it? We arrange synapses in the brain to create artificial long-term potentiation, the glutamate. Her eyes squint. I'll just stop there. I won't bore you with the science. How much would you pay to be the world's best violinist? Should everyone be handed talent so easily? Well, I don't know. I haven't thought about it. I guess if anything, I just want people to have an equal chance to live their dreams. Imagine how much better life would be if you didn't have to listen to someone play the violin, but could play it yourself. You know, feel the bow in your hand, hear the notes next to your own ear. Okay, I'm listening. All we need is $3 million to get the memory pods ready. I take a breath, repeating my pitch back in my mind. I've done just as I practice, but she's not saying anything. Maybe $3 million was asking too much? I look back at the violins, and we dance there for a few beats more. She finally looks up at me. No promises, but I'll have to ask my partner. I knew she was young. Hopefully something will still come from it. This is the part of the song where you'd normally dip me, she smiles. Oh, sorry, I chuckle, laying her back. Thanks for teaching me to dance. Would you care for another? She says, her smile bigger now, but something behind me distracts her eyes. I follow her gaze, but stop when her arms graze my skin. My heart flutters. Sorry, I've actually got to go. She turns around and disappears into the crowd, not a word more. I slide between dancers, but her orange dress vanishes, a dying ember of fire drowning in a sea of masks. I must have said something wrong. Jason and Sarah tango over to me. Easy there, Tiger, Sarah says, sarcasm in her tone. Haha, funny. I think I just butchered the putsch. She kind of just left after I talked with her. You'll get it next time, Sarah says. We're just so close. I bite my lip, but then smile. I'm also kind of bummed I didn't ask her out. You might run into her again, Jason chuckles, checking his Rolex. I say we all split up and meet back here in an hour. I head toward the balcony. Don't want to seem eager, but it's the same direction the girl went. As I hurry my way up the stairs, I overhear snippets of conversations. It's a new kind of fuel that lasts multiple months. The device will revolutionize. I slow when I hear something familiar. Did you hear about the man who died after inventing nuclear energy cars? The woman's voice is barely audible. I step closer. I've heard of the incident, something about the engine exploding while he was test driving. It's rare for humans to have such talent, a wrinkled woman whispers, emphasizing the word humans like it's a dirty word. The gossip ceases abruptly when they notice me. There's something unsettling about the wrinkled woman, the way the brown texture of her mask smears under her eyes. I turn away quickly, trying not to give it a second thought, and jog up the stairs. The balcony is dimly lit, holographic stars dotting the ceiling. Masked investors stand behind asteroid-patterned tables, daring me to approach. I scan the room but don't see the girl. I start with an investor toward the end of the room. Military pins of every color decorate his shirt. One is shaped like a plane. I clear my throat. How much would you pay to learn to fly in a day? The investor scratches his chin. I continue to explain the process of memory insertion, but the investor cuts me off. I think I'll pass. I try pitching a few more times and then lean over the balcony, feeling defeated. Maybe they can tell how young I am. If I don't get the money tonight, we'll have to leave our home. We'll have to paint over the pencil marks on the wall that measured me and Damien's height as we grew. We'll have to plaster the holes that came from crazy wrestling matches with Dad. My mom will be a mess all over again. The first year without Dad, her drinking habits were the worst. She was barely sober enough to work, putting everything on credit cards, promising that tomorrow would be the day she quit. She's been trying to fix her life ever since. I wipe the bottom of my eyelid and look at the ballroom below, hoping to spot the tiger mask girl. She's my only hope now. Sarah is by the orange tables pitching my project to a man with a black mask. Most people are drawn to her as soon as she starts talking, so I can't imagine anyone turning her away. I don't see Jason, though. I gaze across the ballroom floor once more and finally spot him, flanked by two silver masked guards like the ones at the entrance. They're escorting him toward the back of the ballroom. He pivots his head around as though he's looking for help. They must know Jason snuck us in. I run down the stairs, maneuvering around people who come up beside me. I make a beeline toward where I saw Jason last, shifting side to side to get a better look at everyone's faces. But there's no green mask. There's no Jason. A cool breeze rushes past me as the back door of the ballroom swings open. I catch a glimpse of Jason as he's taken, by escort, into the restricted space. The door shuts behind him.